Has Cristiano Ronaldo's homecoming actually improved Manchester United, or have United gotten worse? You might think, what am I saying? Blasphemy, considering he has scored 5 goals till now, scoring in his first 3 games and then just going on to continue to winning United games, even winning United a game that day. But there's so much more to football than just goals, and goals don't always mean success. Ronaldo is someone who has changed his gameplay a lot, and for the pressing football and or the fast-paced football that Manchester United play, there is a problem there. Cristiano Ronaldo has averaged 2.7 pressures per 90 till now for Manchester United for Manchester United in the Premier League, which is the lowest out of any forward in the Premier League till now, who has played in over 270 minutes, averaging only 2.7, which is a huge 2.5 less than the second worst, showing the huge clarity and the huge gap in pressures or pressing per 90 till now for Manchester United. While we're looking at pressing of Ronaldo, we have to also look at the pressing of the whole team, because it's not just Ronaldo who's the problem in the pressing in the forward line. It's also Paul Pogba, someone who has been deployed as a left winger till now. We've seen that Ronaldo doesn't press, but is Paul Pogba much better? We know what Paul Pogba is. Paul Pogba is not someone who will take on his man because he's not a winger himself. He was never a winger. He was actually someone. He's a center midfielder who can defend. It's a bit iffy. It's a bit contradictory, but that's the player that Paul Pogba is. He's a center midfielder who's not got pivot qualities, but he is a very creative player. He's a talented player, but we have to look at the very glaring difficulty and or the very glaring problem that there is, which is his har- lack of work rate and or a lack of pressing. As we can see from the total pressing stats that Manchester United have till now, we can see that Manchester United average around 714 presses in the whole of 714 presses, while we can see that there has only been 214 successful presses. It's a low number in itself, but it's not very atypical of the whole Premier League. However, the bigger stats, as we can see, the defensive pressing is at 198, which is typical, and United are used to pressing like this, and that's fine. The midfield pressing is great as well, considering United do play two defensive midfielders in McTominay and Fred, meaning that their work rate makes up for their lack of sort of defensive awareness, defensive positioning. But the problem is the attacking third pressing. United don't create as much by pressuring their opponents into losing the ball. They don't win the ball up front. And the famous saying, attack is the best defense, is not very much applicable to Manchester United. United's sheer lack of pressing till now has shown that United look actually worse from last season, because United last season played with players like Edinson Cavani, who are notorious pressers, who actually win the ball, as we even saw in the Villarreal match, winning the ball after Cristiano Ronaldo didn't even attempt to run after it. It was a straight pass, but Cavani, with his immense work rate, won it. It just goes on to show that Manchester United till now, playing Ronaldo and Pogba up front, have been at a disadvantage due to the lack of pressing up front, which is very much contradictory to the style of play that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has implemented throughout his reign, which is fast-paced pressing football. Not only that, we cannot only just blame Pogba or Ronaldo for this. We go back to the problem with the midfield. Manchester United, even last season, played with McTominay and Fred, which is something that didn't work for a lot of the matches. It worked versus the big teams. It worked versus teams like Leeds United. It worked versus teams like Man City. It worked versus teams like almost Liverpool. But the clear problem now is United also, they don't have pressing forwards up there who will win the ball up front. and will not put too much pressure on the pivot. Now the ball passes from the front very, very easily, which puts McTominay and Fred in pressure. And also, McTominay and Fred don't create enough for players like Cristiano Ronaldo, or they don't provide enough follow up for players like Jadon Sancho, or even for the fullbacks. We know that Manchester United have almost a dysfunctional right back there, considering that Aaron Wan-Bissaka is not a good attacker. He's a solid defender, but his attacking skills are below par, and his crossing is not as refined as it should be. But United till now, and it's almost it's almost something that's not very positive to say, but McFred is United's best midfield pairing till now, because we cannot trust Pogba in a pivot. Pogba is not a pivot player. Pogba's ability to lose the ball as easily as he does puts the team under way too much pressure, puts the center backs, puts the keeper under way too much pressure to even consider playing him there long term, which is why Pogba's future at United is still in jeopardy, you could almost say. And this is where a player like Van de Beek comes in. If United are trying to play the possession based, almost fluid football, tiki taka football that United are trying to play, or the possession based football that United are trying to play, Van de Beek is probably the perfect fit there. He can also fit in very well with players like Jadon Sancho or Aaron Wan-Bissaka, considering how much of a link-up passer he is. His one-to-one passes, his one-twos with players, his short pass accuracy is something that's very much prominent, and he is someone who will probably, if given the chance, can shine in the pivot role, as we've seen in the limited amount of games that he's been given till now. United's best pivot till now, and it's something that I want to see, or a lot of United fans want to see. It's it's McTominay and Van de Beek, or Matic and Van de Beek. Now it's all up to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer whether he wants to give Van de Beek a chance. But to almost fix the midfield woes, Donny Van de Beek has to be given a chance at least, or else we can say that he is just another one of those signings that Manchester United made that didn't work for us. Being an extremely talented and special player from Ajax, he is someone we can probably try out in the midfield, seeing as our options are very much dire now. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer does not have the luxury to rest one of his only CMs. Not just rest, he's benching him, one of his only CMs, because he's not trusting him. United and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer till now, we have gone to a lot of. We play very safe considering the team that we have. We still play McFred in midfield, which is something that's not very courageous seeing the team that we have. But a player till now who has almost defined Manchester United season, along with Ronaldo's goals, of course, is this man. Is this man who's notorious for saving United in the past so many times. Had a rocky few years post the World Cup, but David De Gea is showing signs of going back to his best. Let's just read out some of his stats till now in the Premier League. His save percentage is 76.2%. He has outperformed his post shot expected goals conceded by one plus 1.7, meaning that he has conceded 1.7 goals less than he was expected to. His distribution has also been something that's made up for the very clear lack of build up between midfield, placing 20 out of 30 passes accurately. And we've seen in recent games as well that his long passes, are very much effective in finding players like Bruno or Greenwood. His long pass percentage has been a very high 76%. His medium passes 96.8, and his short passes a very impressive 95%. He has also outperformed his total touches from the last season, getting 146 touches in only 6 matches, showing that David De Gea is evolving as a keeper and has been one of United's shining lights till now. Could even go on to say that he has been United's player of the season, because a lot of these players have started out well but have faded till now. One of these players being being this man right here, Paul Pogba, started out so well, getting 7 assists in 3 or 4 matches, and then just fading away now, especially post the arrival of Ronaldo, where we can argue that his link up with Ronaldo isn't working, and this is exactly why Pogba is not a player who you can base your team around because he's not someone who you can depend on. We've seen it throughout his 5.5 year spell at United that he is not someone you can count on because simply because of his lack of consistency and how he will lose form in the middle of the season, and it's worrying for Manchester United considering that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer sees Pogba as a player who will be in his 11 despite any and all odds. It's something that's wrong considering that Rashford is also coming back very soon, and Rashford post his surgery is expected to hit heights that he has never hit. So where does Pogba fit into this team now? That's up to these men right here, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and his coaching staff. We go on to our last point of how Manchester United will have to play now and how we've played till now. United have only dominated possession in a handful of matches, Southampton being one of them, which we know we didn't place our shots on target. And David De Gea saved a point for us that day with a few point blank saves. Wolves, a lack of clinicality, but a win regardless. Adama Traore bullied our attack, bullied our defense, and it was another David De Gea double save that saved us and a Mason Greenwood wonder strike. Newcastle, game that we utterly controlled, and Newcastle and Leeds were only two games that Manchester United have completely controlled till now. One being post the arrival of Ronaldo, and one being the very first game of the season. But you can talk about how Leeds' open game is something that allowed that, and United's insistence on playing counter-attacking football worked in that match. Villa, Aston Villa, the recent heartbreak, we could see that Manchester United had close to no creativity. United were dominated almost, and we we lost that game ultimately, and it was deservedly lost because United didn't deserve to get a point even if Bruno did get a penalty. And Villarreal, the game that happened that day, was another game that we dominated possession in. But can we actually argue whether Manchester United did dominate that game? United, Villarreal had United pinned a lot of times going through the side of Diogo Dalot, but it once again was a David De Gea masterclass, you could say. And a Cristiano Ronaldo clutch goal and Alex Telles beauty. I go back to my point now of United not having a sort of an established play style. And it also goes down to how Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is viewing Ronaldo. If he's viewing Ronaldo as someone that he sees as a primary outlet or as someone that he's going to mold his game to and or centrally focus on, that's a mistake for me because United should see how Juventus suffered from Ronaldo being the central point of the team. Being the central focal point of the team at 36 means that you are not going to perform at your normal levels. If Manchester United fans or Manchester United on a whole are still expecting 2008-9 levels from this Cristiano Ronaldo, they're bound to be disappointed. And that's true because Cristiano Ronaldo is not the same anymore. He's not someone that you can centrally base your team around. Because if he's marked, as we've seen in many of the matches, if he's marked properly, he can be neutralized. And he has been neutralized in a few of the matches. Also, his lack of almost pressing and everything makes him sort of passenger in attack, except for those moments where he does score. And this is something that I'm not happy with. I want to see Ronaldo more involved in link-up play. I want to see Ronaldo more involved in playmaking. I want to see Ronaldo press more. We know what Ronaldo is capable of. This is probably a new Ronaldo that we're seeing, which is something that I don't get, especially seeing how Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's side operate, how Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's side have always played. But we can hope that Ronaldo's already doing well, but we expect more from Ronaldo there. And there has to be another man that has to be brought into the mix now, seeing how they're both very much seasoned veterans. And it's this man, Edinson Cavani. I've mentioned his work rate, I've mentioned his work ethic, I've mentioned how his movement is. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has to fit these two players in the same team somehow, some way, because this is United's best chance of controlling games or winning games, as well as having a functional midfield. I go back to calling McFred a dysfunctional midfield. That's not because of uh, their commitments or their passions. It's just their abilities. It's their abilities that limit them almost, and how McFred have almost choked the fullbacks into not having an outlet to pass to. Players like Sancho is struggling because of not having midfielders who move into position well or move into the empty pockets of space well. Midfield is the engine of the team, and midfield is something that controls how the attackers play and how comfortable the defenders are with the ball. So United have to fix this midfield problem first, and a dysfunctional midfield is probably going to be what does drag United into the mud. I know the title says has Ronaldo actually improved Manchester United? He has improved United's goal scoring prowess, but he has put a dent into the play style, which is something that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has to fix. He's clearly focusing his team around Ronaldo, who we know is not capable of being involved in the game 100% of the time. His playmaking, his link up is not there, and he is someone who you could say is almost invisible for 80, 90, 85, 88 minutes, and then he scores a goal, and that's what his job is nowadays. But United can't keep on playing like this. This is not a sustainable solution. This is not a sustainable play style. And to see United improve, to turn their season around almost. United have not been bad by any means. They're fourth in the Premier League. They won their match in the Champions League, but to live up to their expectations as title challengers, or to live up to this super team's expectations, United have to change their play style, and it has to be something that does not center around Cristiano Ronaldo. There has to be a functional midfield, and United have to have more players chip in with goals or chip in with play. United have looked sloppy. The crossing has not been as good, and a lot of the aspects have not been as good. But Ronaldo himself did not have too much of a good game versus Villarreal. Even he himself has admitted it. It's not very good. But and we've seen that from Ronaldo in a lot of the matches that he has been almost invisible, which is something that's concerning. Seeing your striker has to be involved in the game. He can pop up with a goal or two, but is that worth the sacrifice of the playing style, or is that worth the sacrifice of how much damaging this is to the team? Cristiano Ronaldo is an excellent player. Cristiano Ronaldo is a player who will improve any and all teams. But Ronaldo is someone who's also aged, who is someone that United have to look after in a better way. And by better way, I mean in a way that we can get the best out of him and the team, not just him and the team. Football is a team game after all. It's one by 11 people. It's not one by one. Thank you so much for watching this episode. I hope that United improve. We all do, or any and all United fans, of course. Hope that United improve. I hope that United go forward into more of a sustainable system, and I hope that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer gets his act together because I want to see him succeed at this club. He's a club legend, and I've mentioned before how much I love Ole, and I want to see him succeed at the club. Thank you so much for watching. If you agree, disagree, let me know. Please don't come at me too much for the Ronaldo comments. I myself like Ronaldo. I will like any player that plays for United, but it's pretty much showing how it's been for Ronaldo till now. It's not been smooth sailing till now, so we hope it improves. Thank you so much for watching.